afternoon. Welcome back to Discussions with Dylan. This is Dylan Kimlin, live from the Sunshine Coast. We're here at the Early Birds Cafe and the Mismo headquarters, who have recently been getting involved with the Australian pickleball scene. Absolutely amazing group to have. I'm sitting here with none other than Gail Aiken, who has a pretty awesome release to discuss with us. Gail is, I guess, a player and coach, been heavily involved in the scene now, especially in the Southeast Queensland region for a while now. Gail, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, Dylan. Look, first of all, it's just great to be here at Mismo headquarters. We're very grateful for all that they do and their wonderful product. So we thought this just was a perfect venue to release something that is new, with a slightly different perspective in terms of how to enhance the unique potential that lies within each and every one of us, but to deliver that through a coaching methodology that's served me well over many, many decades.
Okay.
When I say that, you asked me before to think about, okay, what have I done? So I feel very privileged in many respects that I've had wonderful mentors around me over the years, and that's come certainly in the last 30 years. I've had the privilege of journeying with Tennis Australia and acquiring, various qualification with them.
Okay.
And in the process of all of that, tapping in internationally as well as nationally to what coaches were doing at their locations to develop talent.
Okay.
So I guess what we're releasing today is very much based upon that, in terms of when you're so focused upon wanting to help people realise their potential, how do you harness that?
Okay.
And that's what we're hoping through Xcel Pickleball, which is all about play, perfect, perform, that people are going to experience.
Okay. So Xcel Pickleball rolls off the tongue well, and no doubt there'll be people hearing about this very soon.
Yep.
Obviously you play here in the Sunny Coast region, but you've been heavily involved, I guess, like nationally as well,
Yep.
from what our discussions earlier.
Yep.
How long have you been involved, I guess? So you've mentioned tennis, so that was a long time.
Yep.
But pickleball, you've been playing and coaching that for quite a long time as well.
Well, no, in truth. I mean,
Okay.
that's the kind of crazy thing, because I guess I fell into pickleball because of a pretty significant injury that came about as a result of tennis coaching,
Okay.
and was told I might never play the game again.
Okay.
So in the process of rehab, I stumbled upon being in the right place at the right time here on the Sunshine Coast when World Pickleball Day occurred, 2019 in fact.
Yeah, right.
And I was overwhelmed with the hundreds of people that turned up at Caloundra Basketball Stadium. And I started the journey at Noosa,
Okay.
and then found that there were more local venues
Yep.
down here in the Mooloolaba region.
Yep.
So had, and still enjoy, time at KT Academy. But in the course of all that, Dylan, some interesting things happened. People began to ask me, might I be able to help them?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I'm not sure I can, because tennis, yes, there's certainly skills you can take out of tennis, but if you try to play tennis on a pickleball court, certainly when it comes to doubles, it doesn't work.
Yep. Bangers, that's you we're talking about. No, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
you really have to appreciate that there's a soft game. One has to learn to finesse.
Yep.
One has to have control over the ball. One has to understand what setting up the body is all about. So, to me it was like, well, hang on a minute. I need to inquire further with others up here that have been playing this game longer than I. So I searched out some people, got some fabulous input, and then thought, okay, I'd like to learn more about the game myself. So because of my mind, very inquiring mind, I did what I always do. To me, life is just one process of continuous learning.
Okay.
So I undertook the Pickleball Coaching International course and thought, yep, that's got some good things there. But I continue that journey of learning. And at this point in time, based upon what I've been delivering to people, I've been listening to what they're saying in terms of their feedback, and taken that even further by having gone on a 7-week road trip.
Yep.
And that was to go down to the Vic Championships and the New South Wales Championships. Had a ball of a time, but with that, it brought requests of, could you do some clinics for us?
Yep.
So it's like, okay, so what are people needing? And to my delight, in hearing 7 weeks of feedback and input from people, we've been able, within Xcel Pickleball, to come up with a combination of programs and clinics that really start to speak into what people are telling me, us, because there's a team here, telling us what they want. So I'm delighted to say that our programs and clinics speak into the issues of play, perfect and perform.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's I guess go down that train of thought. So you've gone from a high-level coaching background to being a player. You've travelled around the country now, and you've sort of got the Australian scene, I suppose, with a bit of feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And now you've developed something really cool for both players and coaches, I'm assuming.
Well, again, that's a good point, because I do also come from a coach education background.
Yeah.
And there will be that available. Right at the moment, I think we're responding to the immediacy of demand.
Yep.
People are saying to me, okay, look, when I got back here, I was already hearing from people, look, we've got more people booking in for more of these clinics. When are you coming back? So there's a mobility also to what we do.
Yep.
I personally feel at the moment that I want to give back into the Sunshine Coast. And I know the people with me do too.
Okay.
It's like, you know, there's a massive, magnificent community here. And it's just been question come of, okay, you're doing this one-on-one, you're doing it with pairs, you're doing it with fours, but when is the opportunity going to occur for more people to get it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're here.
Okay.
We're this coming Monday, we're ready to launch Xcel Pickleball.
Yeah, that's so exciting. And I think from a coach's perspective myself, I can always respect other people getting involved in this space to benefit other coaches, I suppose. It's something that the scene is, you know, the growth we've seen is so crazy in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're at a point where I think people are realising, oh, I can be involved in this space and help other people because I've found that passion myself.
Yes.
And it sounds like that's something that you guys really want to promote. So
Yep.
give us a bit of a rundown
Yep.
of, so Xcel Pickleball, what exactly are you? What are you about?
Yeah. Look, I guess from a mission perspective, it's all about taking the unique potential in each and every one of us across all the ages and abilities. And looking at each one, and I do say looking at each one because to me, one has to appreciate we all learn differently. Now, in a group environment, that actually can be challenging.
Yep.
But one of the assets I've found, even in the delivery of these clinics, is that wherever I've gone, there's been people on committees, for instance, that come from educator backgrounds, or they themselves have come from coaching backgrounds.
Yep.
So one's been able to kind of draw on their assistance within these clinic contexts, and it's been magnificent in terms of their aid to ensure everybody's getting the focus they need, and we're listening and seeing what people might need to take a few of the kinks out of their game that could be undermining their mastery of a particular skill. You mentioned before about me as a professional coach. I have shared with the team, I chose to focus my attentions on becoming as expert as I could around the acquisition of fundamentals.
People don't understand, I guess, the brain and what goes on, and
Yep.
muscle memory and, you know, things like that come into play. But it seems that you guys have really took a deep dive into it, understand the science behind coaching, and then developing that in a pickleball environment. So that's fascinating from someone who I have a deep interest in this sort of stuff. I find it so intriguing. You mentioned fundamentals. Okay.
Yep.
So just off the top of your head, you know, what for a pickleball environment, someone who, let's say if you're watching from home and you find yourself you're an intermediate player. So you've just been, you know, you've got the basics down pat, but you've decided, yep, you know, I'd like to get more involved. What would you do for someone who, what would you deem the fundamentals for someone in that particular instance? I
want to be seeing a responsiveness from them that shows to me they've got the 12 key fundamentals that they need to then be able to go on and learn the skill of a sport.
Yep.
Yep. So I'm looking at movement patterns, I'm looking at their tracking skills, I'm looking at their hand-eye coordination, and then their sensory capacities.
Okay.
because we've got to have some degree of spatial awareness. So I'm looking at all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah? And timing. I mean, it's critical. Yeah. So that's what I'm initially looking for, and I will ask people, as they will tell you, lots of questions about why they do what they do.
Yep.
If they're aware of what is actually going on. For instance, you know, some people have said to me, for goodness sake, you would think if I was hitting the ball, I would have some awareness of where the paddle face is. But simple little things can make a massive, massive difference.
Yep.
You know, there is indeed a significance to dominant eye and the way someone sets up to actually play a stroke. And you will find that the greatest of the greatest in terms of tennis, for instance, their coaches have understood, as the player has, which is the dominant eye, and they train accordingly. Yeah?
Yeah, that's interesting. And these are things that I guess a lot of people wouldn't have even thought about.
Yep.
It's just, you know, this is what I mean. Like, we're talking about the science behind coaching, I suppose, and it seems you guys are. You mentioned earlier you're not necessarily perfecting it because we're always learning, but it's something that you're actively gaining feedback on and doing a lot of research on.
Well, Dylan, absolutely. I can tell you right now that the concept of deep practice has been around a long time, but what you'll find is the best of the best coaches are not necessarily the ones you might think. But they have understood from their own research the significance of deep practice, how you can take someone into that, but it must be done in a particular way.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm saying that, you know, we could spend hours and we still will not have covered off on what deep practice is all about.
Yep.
But there are some critical things that you can take by way of understanding, which has been researched over decades upon decades. And there are neurologists right now that will speak straight into this issue in terms of the marvel of the brain and myelin. And again, there's some simple little ways in which that can be harnessed in our more mature years. I am blown away and thrilled with the hunger that we see in so much of our pickleball community, nationally, internationally, to learn.
Yep.
I've never seen, it's like an exponential explosion of people wanting to, and you know, that is critical to what's needed to actually make the most of deep practice.
Okay. So I think you've nailed it on the head in that people suddenly, it's a light bulb moment. And I have this with so many of my players that might be in the 50 plus category.
Yep.
And it's like, I thought I couldn't do sport anymore. And it's like, I found this sport for the, you know, I'm addicted. It's and I'm learning.
Yep.
I think it's the learning aspect. We all like to be challenged.
Yep.
And it sounds like that's something that you guys have really harnessed, just the inspiration to, I guess, rediscover what you can achieve within a sport.
Yep. Look, there's something in here that I think we need to take, because I see and I hear this in a lot of people that I talk with playing pickleball. I'm sure you get this completely, that we have such an array of people from all of these different walks of life. They know so much. They know so much. And they all bring something different to the other.
Yep.
So I've used the word mastery with various ones at times, and it's, yes, okay, tell me, what's the mastery you're talking about? You know, and as you start to get into that, I want to make this loud and clear that when you're talking about deep practice, you have to have a picture in your mind of perfection.
Yep.
If you don't have that picture of perfection and you don't understand how to actually help someone progressively work toward that picture of mastery, you've lost the plot. Yep, you've absolutely lost the plot. So with our programs that I've had in the past for our early learning years, those who've delivered it have come from educated backgrounds where they've understood the mastering of skill is vital, but you, the facilitator, have to understand that picture. You have to know how to break it down into little bits.
Yep.
And how to not overwhelm the body, but give it the adequate time frame in which to start building some of this myelin that insulates the circuitry of the brain and helps enhance skill.
Okay.
Yep.
So would you say the product that you guys are bringing to the Australian scene is more targeted for, if there's anyone watching at home that might be interested, this is hey, I wouldn't mind getting into coaching. Or is it a, hey, I'm a player that would like to know a little bit more about the science of the sport? Or, hey, we mentioned earlier inspiration and learning. What exactly who would you recommend this for?
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, great question. Look, I think in the first instance, we want to respond immediately now. It's been a while in coming, but we want to respond now to the fact that there are players out there who are hungering. They're hungering for someone to stand beside them and just be able to say, listen, if you just do this, that's going to make a massive difference to your success in learning this skill right here.
Okay.
So it's putting the coach on the court, which is what we're going to do, in these 2-hour segments or 2.5-hour clinic programs, so that people are able to see a fast track into getting to the next level they want to. Now, let me just say, I do not want in any way to have listeners think like we're the be-all and end-all. We're not. We're just simply bringing, in this instance, the learning of 30-plus years in coaching and recognising the way that we will deliver these pickleball clinics and programs. They're going to be different to the way I would have delivered tennis.
Yeah.
It's for lots of different reasons, but if I simply say that I'm not going to invite someone in necessarily for a whole long term of coaching. In fact, those that have come to me privately, I've said, get used to the fact that, I might push you out of the nest because I need you to go and practice what we've been doing by playing.
Yep.
Don't be frightened to do that. If you're struggling, then come on back later.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's really good to know, and I think you've mentioned sort of the who. I guess we've touched on the why and I guess a bit of the what, but let's talk about the sessions. So you've just talked about sort of a what we can actually expect. So if someone was interested in getting involved within this space, what would be the format that they could get involved in?
They can go onto the website, they'll be able to see from Monday what's on offer, and then Open Sports will be the platform where people can book in.
Yep.
And they will see that there'll be a pickleball fundamentals.
Yep.
So what sort of person might come into that? It would be those that could be coming from hearing about this game, not knowing, do I want to have a go or not? Well, this is the fun environment to get the critical fundamentals to then help you fast track into learning the skills of the sport, obviously combined with the playing.
Okay.
Yeah? So that's a pickleball fundamentals, 2.5-hour workshop.
Yep.
And hopefully they'll then be able to zoom into their club environments,
Yep.
build on what we've just given them. If they want to come back at another time, there'll be another program that they can come into that will take them to another level.
Okay.
Yeah? We have our Pulse program, which is looking at the energy systems of the body.
Okay.
Again, I don't think necessarily understand and appreciate that there's an appropriate training for each of the 3 energy systems to make this body move like it needs to move, as quickly as it needs to move. So that will be embodied within what we call Pickleball Pulse or Xcel Pulse,
Okay.
which will be segmented accordingly to the practice of deep practice.
Okay. And that's
Yep.
what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So the segments they'll have will be fast bursts
Yeah.
of being able to learn a skill, and then they'll have their couple of minutes of recoup, just recovery, and ready for their next burst.
Okay.
But it will be fun, be segmented around what are the criticals that we need to be able to do in pickleball, but it's really working on the cardio side as well.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
All right.
Come
Now
and play. That's another one.
Yeah. Well.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Cool. So I think you've just about wrapped it all up there, and I think the viewers would sort of have a bit of an understanding of what to expect. So you've mentioned Open Sports, and I will put up a thing with all of your upcoming events. What locations do you do these at?
Great question. Can't wait to tell people we finally have location. So we've got 2.
Yep.
And the wonder of this is that we have a school with 1,100 students that's inviting us into their auditorium, and there's 3 pickleball courts there. So we have an indoor environment in that at the Baringa State Primary School.
Okay.
And I should say that this is so exciting to have a principal who says, look, we want pickleball. And then to target, first of all, which will be my delight, to actually show the teachers how they play the game.
Yep.
so that they can actually use pickleball during lunchtime for the kids to have another activity to participate in.
Yep.
How good is that?
That's awesome. Yep.
It's wonderful. That then provides us with a volume of children and families to progressively introduce the game to, so there'll be lots of things that we can look forward to. Then we've got Ballinger Park Tennis Club.
Okay.
Beautiful four-court club set in this magnificent green space environment, and their president has said, come on in.
Okay.
So we'll have the outdoor environment, which is again fabulous in terms of providing clinics at times to help people train for tournaments.
Yep.
Indoor-outdoor environments. Yeah. So this has been, Dylan, just a wonderful thing in terms of timing, because for the last 12 months, as I've continued to try and listen and get a gauge of what people are after, we're at a point right now where pickleball is exploding.
Yep, not wrong.
Yep, and people want to get on board.
Yep.
So I just cannot thank Ballinger Park Tennis Club and the Baringa State Primary School principal and president for saying, hey guys, come on in.
Yeah, that's so good. And I
Yep.
think the more venues that get involved with our sport and the more, I guess, programs like yours, it's only going to be beneficial for everyone. So it doesn't matter what your interest in the sport is, whether as a player or a coach or even as a school teacher bringing little ones on board.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I think we all greatly benefit. So
Yep.
we might wrap it up. Is there anything else you would like to bring up before we get into it?
Absolutely. I need to definitely make sure the audience hears this, that I never do anything on my own. You know, when I talk about harnessing potential, I always am looking for people that might share a same heart,
Yep.
a same skill, or complementary skills. And what people are going to experience is the magnificence of the Xcel team.
Yep.
There's, at this moment, 3 people, some of whom the Sunshine Coast know, but the rest of Australia
Yeah,
are
well,
going to meet them along the way because of what we're going to be doing.
yeah.
So I'm thrilled to have Robin Hungerford,
Yep.
Brad Cluse,
Yep.
and Justine Murphy,
Yep.
all on the team. And each one of them, people are going to get to know in terms of what they don't know about these people, which is actually going to make the journey with Xcel Pickleball lots and lots of fun, as well as bring an expertise into it in lots of different ways.
Yep.
So I am so excited, it almost brings me to tears.
No, I appreciate the enthusiasm. I think it's really cool to hear, like obviously you've just mentioned some incredible people from the Sunshine Coast team
Absolutely.
that we'll get involved with on a national level, I suppose,
Yep.
going forward. But you mentioned as a team, it's a family environment you're trying to promote. And anyone that's been involved from a club perspective, you've all been in a committee and you know that these things simply don't work unless you all work together. So it's obvious that you guys have done exactly that. So awesome. Well, thank you so much for hopping on and having a chat. And I really look forward to hearing what amazing things you guys come up with in the future. So.
Dylan, I want to thank you because you're very valued in terms of what you do. And again, so exciting to hear that you continue the journey of continuous learning.
Oh, yeah, well, it's important.
Yeah. And we're thrilled at the next step you're taking
Yep.
in the journalism journey.
Yeah.
And I look forward to future chats with you and the other team members having
No.
chats with you.
Oh,
Yeah, so
it's-
thank you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you so much. And thank you to Early Birds Cafe for allowing us to come and chill in their wonderful
Absolutely.
space. But
My word.
yeah,
And they are one of our partners, I might add.
yeah, well, there we go. No doubt we can get them going.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, yeah.
That I think, again, from people understanding who we are, what's going to also occur is that those who come to us or view the website will see that we have other partners in the allied health professional arena for the reason that, again, my lifetime in coaching has always been around calling upon these expertise so that whenever I have a client who hits a particular point of need, I know where to get the experts that have what they require at that time to help them get back on track.
Yep.
So we will be offering down the track info nights
Okay.
in terms of injury prevention.
Okay. Yeah, that's big.
I've had a lot of people come to me with injury
Yep.
and it's taken them out for periods of time, so it's coming from a preventative perspective as well as, okay, well now I've got it, how do I deal with it?
Yep.
Yep, so looking forward to that as well.
No, that's amazing and very relevant to all of us, really, in the space. So, No, thank you so much. We will leave it there. And yeah, we'll no doubt see you on Open Sports.
You will, but I
And-
hope on the court before
and-
Open Sports.
Yeah, exactly right. No, thank you so much, Gail, and thank you for tuning in.
Thanks, Dylan.